So what we're going to do, I'm going to tell you why I think that we are getting so close to being like this movie here. Uh, Ironically, because of another movie. Like, if you don't, if you're not up, what's going on with this whole Sound of Freedom movie? Wow. Um, so it's literally showing you how both sides l- they're making stuff up, and it's wild. So you have one side who's saying that the the theaters are the ACs are going out and stuff like that, and then people are posting TikTok videos. So I mean, I'm not saying it's not happening, but I can explain why it's happening. I used to work for a theater, so I'm going to get to that here in a minute. Um, and then the other side is, for some reason, all the news is saying that it's a QAnon conspiracy theory movie, which is not at all. Like, yeah, the guy who uh, the movie's about, um, the real life person, he is a QAnon believer. But besides the point, he still did worked in a division of the, the Department of Defense or whatever that did do deal with human trafficking, and he was um, appointed by Donald Trump to be a co-chair of the State Department Advisor Council on Human Trafficking. So he does. I mean, that's true. He did that, um, and so I guess I'll start out with the kind of the explanation maybe of what is going on at the theaters. So as somebody who used to work at the movie theaters, um, I know that there is that was loud. Sorry, my bad. There is normal theaters, you get have like say 5 or 6 screens or whatever, um, and when they're first built, each screen showing is normally of equal. But as time goes over, what happens is the theater has to decide. Okay, so screen 1 and 2, those are going to be our main ones that we're going to show big movies in, and then the rest of them we'll play by ear. Now they maintain those 2 or 3, or however many designated screens to the big movies way more than the rest. They make sure the air conditioning's always working. They make sure it's this and that because they know those are normally going to be the ones that are be full of people. So when those movies came out, on paper you have Indiana Jones and The Sound of Freedom, an independent basically that was had been shelved for a long time, uh, versus a blockbuster. So the blockbuster gets the better screens. Now they put The Sound of Freedom into the crappier screens, and then hence you're also in July, which just a couple days ago was the literally the hottest day in history. So of course the air conditioners can't. It's just it just happens. Um, they weren't weren't prepared for the turnout of people for this movie. By no means, you can tell. Um, but with all that being said, you know, it's still strange that they're totally pushing it as it's a QAnon movie, right? Like everyone's like, go see this, and they don't want you to go see this because of the QAnon conspiracy that was back in the day. That was, well, it had to do with child trafficking stuff, basically, but it was on a different premise, and it was more kind of like it wasn't. Listen, I'm not saying human trafficking stuff doesn't happen. It happens. Like there's statistics here for like which countries and which states here have the highest human trafficking rate. And it's legit. Um, which countries are the worst for human trafficking here. I mean, obviously you can see that the top 10, America is probably, I'd guess, like 10 if I had to guess. Because normally poorer countries that's kind of like where it normally happens at. Now, with that being said, um, I think that the reason that the media is spinning it as a QAnon movie has a lot to do with the fact that the guy, like I said, the guy in real life is a little bit of QAnon, and the actor himself. This is an interview Jim did. He actually went to a QAnon conference and gave a speech, and this was a couple back in 2017. Like I said, when QAnon was big, and I'm not saying the guy is necessarily bad for believing that or anything. I'm just saying there was a lot of people that believed in QAnon. He, obviously he believed enough that he went in there and gave a speech at a conference. So I think that's what they're tying it into. The media is saying, "Oh well, the guy who played him is a QAnon," and then this movie, and it's kind of a lower budget mainstream movie, so maybe they're assuming that because both those people, without even, my point is, without even seeing the movie, I feel like they just went ahead and deemed it to be QAnon related because it's kind of got a Christian background, and it's being distributed by a Christian uh, movie production company, from what I understand, which is wild. So it's like basically the left and right are looking at it because the actor is, you know, a conservative actor, so the left is saying, "Oh, it's got to be QAnon based," and then the right side conservatives who were wanting to go see the movie because it's getting so much attention by the media, being telling them it's a QAnon conspiracy and like the big fight over it, so it's making more people go, and then you have these air conditions and stuff going out, so it's like. But yet, it's just, I mean, everyone just hops on that train, man, and just rides it out. It blows my mind. I just, yeah, just, and like I said, so they take a little bit of a QAnon conspiracy that he was part of, or not necessarily part of, but I'm saying because he talked about it, and say, that it must be that. So, and then I think the actor, I've heard him say a couple of things recently about how he's, you know, lost. He had like a agent or something that he had to get a new agent and stuff because of everything. And I don't know. I feel like he's probably leaning into it more, but he's definitely. I think they probably made way more money off that movie than they thought they were going to. So let's see. If they legitimately are wanting to do good and impact the child trafficking, what's going on in the world. Here's an idea for you guys. So this is a little or like a department of, I think it's Homeland Security. Oh no, it's Immigration Customs, and they hire veterans to be part of this hero child. It's children who are victims of trafficking and sex trafficking and stuff like that. And they hired, like I said, they hired disabled veterans to do these. It's like tech work, I guess, which is what you'd call it. You run the programs when they're like going through the cell phones off these dudes that they catch, and So, but if you're a veteran, I mean, I'm assuming they also hire people that are not veterans. But my point to all this is, they're making a crap ton of money off this movie. I'd like to see them turn around and donate a large portion of the profits to something like this. I mean, and then because I know they're doing that whole thing online. They're saying you can go buy tickets. At the end of the movie, there's a clip of the actor talking about it. Like, you can go online and buy tickets for your friends so they can see this movie because they don't want you to see this movie, kind of thing. Which is driving up the ticket sales, but so they're making a ton of money off this. I think it was like, yeah, I could be wrong with the numbers, 14 million to make or something like that. And it's already boxed 50 or 40 or something. They're well beyond whatever, they're getting their money back now. So instead of this gym guy going and adding millions of dollars to his already millions of dollars he's got, let's donate to these organizations like this. And I mean, imagine what $50 million would do with an organization like this, for equipment and stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. Uh, Hope you guys will like this video. It's a little bit short, but it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I don't feel like it's not an issue. Don't get me wrong, child trafficking is definitely an issue, and there's no reason why there shouldn't be a movie about it. But to turn it into what everyone's turned it into is kind of wild. I mean, and like I said, the theater stuff, I knew, I knew it was going to happen once I seen the kind of movie catching on. I'm like, I don't think the theaters are ready for it. They're gonna, and then it's gonna turn into a thing. I mean, I worked there in theaters whenever the Titanic came out, and people would come and line up at 6 a.m. for a ticket. So trust me, I understand the whole logistics of when there's a movie that's popping and people are going to go see it, and the inner workings of the theater. I mean, not to mention I don't, like what they also put the movie on as far as what kind of film, and all this stuff. If it was shot independently, it might not work on a new projector, and they have to put it in the other crappier screens because of the way it was filmed on. There's all sorts of stuff that goes into these things. And like I said, on paper, I'm sure the AMC looked at it and thought, whatever, this movie's not, they don't look at it, and it's not looking at it like, this is what it's about. They just are looking at numbers. Same thing with all these Marvel movies. They just are always looking at the numbers. Keep kicking this other camera, so I gotta make sure not to do that anymore. But yeah, I just think it got turned into way more of a thing than it definitely is, and I think it'll continue. Now, I will say, probably if the movie continues to keep doing good, the theaters will flip flop movies, which is what they'll do after a couple of weeks. Sometimes, if there is a movie that does well that they weren't expecting, they'll flop it and put it into a better screen. And I know I think they're going to do worldwide, which and then the same thing's going to happen. So in the worldwide theaters, it'll probably be in better screens, and they won't have these issues that. And then of course people are going to run with that and say, "Oh, look, they didn't have issues when they were in the other countries. It's all America because we want to suck the blood out of children," or whatever the QAnon theory is stuff now. Listen, human trafficking is definitely going on. I mean, I spent some time in Honduras, so I understand it's happening, but it's just basically not that crazy QAnon theory stuff, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, they added. It's unfortunately that the QAnon conspiracy theory has tainted the human trafficking issues. Now it's like an issue that if you talk about, you're a conspiracy theorist, and it's unfortunate because it is an issue. There's horrible monsters out there doing these things, and it's unfortunate that a movie that kind of shed a light on it is being turned into this thing that it is. And listen, like I said, I am not left or right. I can't stand either side. So that's not the point of this. The point of this is to show just how easy it is for something like that to be turned into something to where both sides are arguing over it. And it's not even close to what either side thinks it is. So, if you like this video, click like and subscribe, and maybe I'll do some more. Working this stuff out, the bugs, the sounds, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they get better as I go on. I'll make some more. Thanks.